Hello class, today's lesson is called Marriage Contracts, the Original Human Resources Document. Because nothing says eternal love like a legally binding agreement to merge assets, produce heirs, and obey. Let's start with a cold, hard truth. Marriage was never about love. Love is a modern luxury. Marriage was about property, power, and paperwork. For most of history, people didn't get married because they were soulmates. They got married because their families needed land, alliances, or a new cow. Sometimes all three. In fact, if Romeo had come from a slightly richer family, Juliet might have lived and owned half of Verona. Let's go way back. In ancient civilizations, Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, marriage was essentially a business deal. The bride came with a dowry, a transfer of wealth from her family to the husband. Why? Because marriage was a transaction, and the woman, she was the product. Oh, and don't worry, if the bride was damaged goods, read not a virgin, the contract could be nullified. Because purity was everything, not morality, market value. Marriage contracts literally listed the value of the bride. The expected number of children. What happens if the wife misbehaves, and who gets what if there's a divorce, which wasn't always allowed, by the way, so yes, it was love with fine print. Now, let's visit ancient Rome. Roman marriage contracts were detailed legal arrangements. They outlined responsibilities, inheritance rights, and even clauses like, if the wife brings shame upon the household, guess who loses her legal status? Hint, not the husband. And in case you're wondering, yes, women were still considered legal minors under male guardianship. Now skip ahead to medieval Europe. Did marriage evolve into a romantic celebration of two hearts becoming one? Nope. It became a feudal transaction. Nobles married off daughters like chess pieces. Peasants got the church's blessing, but still needed community approval and often, surprise, a contract. Oh, and once married, the woman's identity legally disappeared. Under the doctrine of coverture, a wife had no separate legal existence from her husband. She couldn't own property, couldn't make contracts, couldn't sue or be sued. She was basically an unpaid intern with reproductive duties. Now, let's get modern. 19th century Western marriages were still contracts, just with fancier language. The wife promised to honor and obey. The husband promised to provide. Love was implied. Obedience was mandatory. And let's not forget the marital duty clause. Translation: consent was irrelevant once the ring was on. Marital rape wasn't considered a crime in many countries until the late 20th century, because apparently vows overrule bodily autonomy. Let's pause and ask, what kind of contract allows one party to own, control, and discipline the other? Answer: not a fair one. Marriage was a human resources agreement, except one employee worked 24/7, got no salary, no benefits, and no weekends off. She cooked, she cleaned, she birthed the future labor force, and if she complained, she was hysterical, ungrateful, or burned as a witch. Now, let's talk prenups, the modern descendants of ancient dowry contracts. Same logic, new fonts. Today, people still negotiate who gets what in the event of divorce, because we still subconsciously understand marriage is a legal merger with shared assets, debt, taxes, and emotional labor clauses no one talks about. Sure, people fall in love, but when they fall out of love, it's not about the feelings, it's about the contract. Custody, mortgages, retirement accounts, furniture division, and who gets the dog. Now, let's touch the sacred third rail, the wedding industry. Nothing says authentic devotion like a $50,000 party financed by debt and social pressure. Why so expensive? Because marriage is no longer just a contract, it's a performance. A public HR announcement that says, "We've successfully merged, please clap." And don't get me started on the tax incentives. Governments literally reward people for getting married, because married couples tend to, wait for it, produce more workers, and pay more taxes. A love story brought to you by capitalism. Now, am I saying all marriage is bad? No. Marriage can be beautiful, it can be joyful, supportive, romantic. But let's not pretend it was ever pure. It was designed legally, economically, culturally to control women, transfer property, and protect bloodlines. And just because we've put frosting on it doesn't mean the cake isn't still a contract. So next time someone says marriage is sacred, ask them, do you mean spiritually or legally? Because love might be blind, but the legal system never is. Class dismissed. Please sign your exit paperwork in triplicate.